Hello, this is a video on how to navigate the St. Mary's School Junior Pre-K and Pre-K car line. This video is not only for moms and dads, but for anyone who will transport your child. First, a quick review of the streets and areas we'll be concerned with. As you can see from this aerial photo, we have St. Mary's School. We call this the main building, or more often the big building. Mrs. Miller's junior pre-K classroom is housed in the northernmost end of the main building. So this is the door you'll be concerned with. This building is called St. Agnes. It's just south of the church. Mrs. Huffman's pre-K class is on the north end of the building. So this is the door you're concerned with. Mrs. Anderson's pre-K class is on the south end of the building, so this is the door you're concerned with. For our entire preschool program, all AM classes drop off and pick up at the same time. The same is true for the PM classes. So all three classes, Mrs. Miller's junior pre-K, Mrs. Huffman's pre-K, and Mrs. Anderson's pre-K, AM classes all drop off and pick up at the same time. And the same is true for the PM classes. So first, let's take a look at the roads that you'll be using if you're in the AM class. You'll use these for both drop off and pick up. And PM classes, this is what you'll use for your drop off. East Street, right here, and Walnut Street right here. Now, PM classes, your pickup at the end of the day, you will be using South Street, you'll be using Rosary Lane, and you'll be using Walnut Street. Two important points to remember when managing our car line. First, take it slow. There may be gym classes or recess going on at the same time as our car line. There may be a funeral or something going on at the church. So there will be people walking in our parking lot. So please watch out for pedestrian traffic. Also, we need to make sure that there is always access to the school office, which is located here in the main building, for emergency equipment, for families who might have to be picking up a sick child, for deliveries, and for staff to be able to get into the parking lot. Just bring your patience, be aware of your surroundings, and our car line will be a well-oiled machine before you know it. Now, let's take a closer look at a sample run. As you can see, our parents are traveling north on East Street in front of the AT&T building. And then you can see this car is starting to take a right to enter Walnut Street. This is a great approach as it is the least way to disrupt the public flow of traffic along East Street. Rarely would our car line stretch out this far, but if it did, it's best to line up traveling north on East Street in front of the AT&T building and enter Walnut Street by taking a right. Let's get these cars moving. So as you see, as our cars continue traveling east, you will shortly see the AT&T parking lot on the right of the road. We've got one entrance here. And we have another entrance up here. It is important that we do not block the entrances into the AT&T parking lot. Here's the other entrance right here. If the car line would ever stretch back this far, make sure you are not blocking the entrances. So see how this car stopped? Always making sure that this lane is open and that cars can come in and out. Now, during transportation times, there are going to be orange cones lining the right side of our line. These orange cones are going to be all along here where my arrow's going. This is to keep this area of the parking lot open for recess and gym classes. Please be aware of students. God forbid a student goes after a stray ball into our car line during recess, but as you know with kids, anything can happen. Just be on the lookout. Also, vehicles or people may be arriving or leaving our parking lot to access the school office or church. So please be aware. I'm going to stop the video here. This is the first parking lot area that we can never block. Right here. We will have it marked with orange cones. It is the lane right by the flag. Here's our flag here. Always keep this area open so emergency equipment, staff, and families can get into the office. Also, always keep our car line up to this point to one lane. So see, everybody here is staying in one lane. Nobody is starting a second lane here. We need to have space for vehicles to use the north side of this lane. There may be times when you're in line and you see a vehicle to your left passing you. That's okay. We can never use the north side of this lane. Right here, just the south side. Okay, let's take a look at this lead car. Once past this opening, that first car cuts to the north side of the lane, and the second car is going to line up next to it on the south side. We're going to stop it right there. This is the only place we can start to double up the lines. I repeat, this is the only place we can double up the lines. We cannot do it before this point. Also, please make sure you leave space here so vehicles can travel freely heading north and south along the main building. So you can see where the line's starting to double up and they've stopped here. That's always keeping this lane right here open for traffic. It's very important, and you'll see why later in this video. Let's get this moving again. Okay, and as you can see, that next car goes in line and they start pulling up. As the cars turn to travel north, the lead car is heading to St. Agnes in the left lane to either Mrs. Huffman's class or to Mrs. Anderson's class. Okay, stop it right there. The second car is heading to the right lane for Mrs. Miller's class. As you are lining up and traveling north, always make sure there is that opening for traffic to travel between St. Agnes and the main building. Again, this area can never be blocked. So there's going to be a lane here that always stays open for traffic to travel north and south. Okay, let's have the cars continue. So our first vehicle continues to head to Mrs. Anderson's classroom. We are going to get to that door in a moment, but let's follow the second and third cars as they travel north. So the second car here is going to Mrs. Miller's junior pre-K class on the right. Third car is heading north, going to Mrs. Huffman's class. We're going to stop it right here. Again, it's important to leave that space in between the two car lines. So junior pre-K, make sure you're really hugging the right. There may be cars parked here, but you need to get as close as possible. And pre-K, you're going to hug the left of the building. Hug it as close as you can. Before you get to your class door, make sure your child is unbuckled, backpack on, coat on, zipped, and your child is ready to exit your vehicle when our staff opens your vehicle door. We can lend them a helping hand if it's a jump for them from, say, a higher vehicle. But this is time for independence. They need to get out themselves. During drop-off, after your child exits the vehicle, let's get this rolling again, you are going to continue to Joliet Street to exit the parking lot, and you're going to be careful to merge with the other parents. So these cars will be moving north in just a little bit, heading to Joliet Street. But I want you to pay attention where they stop. This is showing when you pick up your child. Our staff will open the door and your child will enter the vehicle. This is not the time to buckle them in. We will close the door and you will pull forward just as shown by our sample cars. In fact, our car that just picked up a student from Mrs. Miller's class, you can actually pull all the way up to here. But you can see the car that was picking up a child from Mrs. Huffman's class, they stopped right here. That's where that lead car is going to stop. You're going to get out and you're going to buckle up your child's seatbelt there. We need to keep our exit flowing. So think NASCAR pit crew speed. You're going to pull forward with your child. You're going to join the buckle up line, quickly buckle them in, and exit the parking lot. Again, being careful to merge with other parents. And then you're going to exit on Joliet Street. Now, in a moment, Mr. Ruiz is going to display how vehicles need to get to the school office from Joliet Street. And I'm sorry if this is a little bit of a dizzy spin, but here comes Mr. Ruiz with his truck. See how he needs to still get in? We need to make sure somebody can do that if necessary. Okay, now we're going to pick it up from Mrs. Anderson's class. Okay, that lead car pulls right to there. As you line up for all drop-offs and AM pickup, make sure to hug the right side of the lane closest to St. Agnes so parked cars can exit. See how they're staying right here? And they're going to continue hugging that lane. Also, please be very aware of classes and staff exiting and returning to St. Agnes. St. Agnes also houses our kindergarten class, so they may be going to the big building for specials or for lunch, or a staff member may be exiting to go make copies in the office. Staff and students always have the right of way. So if you see kids, if you see staff, you stay put until they have passed. Okay, so here somebody is dropping off their child. Their child is ready to go, hopping out of the vehicle. And then you are going to pull forward. Now a point here. We're going to see where these cars stop. This is where you would buckle your child in, then continue east on out of the parking lot. Remember, NASCAR pit crew speed, we need to keep the car line moving. So if you're dropping off your child, obviously you're not stopping for anything, you are just continuing onto Walnut Street. If you are picking up your child, that's where you're going to stop to buckle your child in and exit the building. Now let's take a look at pickup for PM classes. Here we see cars coming from both directions on South Street. We have cars coming from both the east and the west. Then they travel north on Rosary Lane in 2 lines. If you arrive very early for pickup, you will see a line of vehicles in both directions waiting for the Rosary Lane gate to be open, which is located right here. Please be aware of public traffic using South Street, both vehicles and pedestrians. Also, please be aware that residents on South Street may be trying to enter and exit their driveways. Always give them access. As our cars slowly head north, They will eventually reach 2 staff members calling out family names and cone numbers. This is to let staff know which children to send out into what cone, where more staff are waiting to help them into their cars. It also lets us in pre-K know when to have your child ready. Please make sure your laminated card with your family name is on display. Some families use a plastic pants hanger and hang it from their rearview mirror. However you want to display it, please make sure all staff can see it. As you can see, our cars are going to approach where the 2 staff members are going to be waiting. We'll see them slow, and then once your name is called, you can start merging into one lane and make the turns until you reach your cone. You must stay in the line. So here, our 2 staff members would be telling this car, Anderson, cone 1, Miller, cone 2, Huffman, cone 3, Essex, cone 4. Now you see them merging into one lane and starting to snake around to get to the cones. There will be families in this line just picking up older students. Some will have both older kids and preschoolers, and some just preschoolers. Never pass someone in line unless specifically instructed by a staff member. You can see the dots here along the lane. There's going to be orange cones on those dots, and there'll be a staff member at every one of those orange cones. That's where the kids, kindergarten through 8th grade, will head to their cone to meet you and get picked up. For our video, we have 2 cars picking up preschool students and 2 just picking up upper class students. As you can see, the first car, and in a little moment, the third car, just have older students. They pick up their child, then continue down Walnut Street to exit the parking lot. They're stopping here just for the sake of our video. You will have to carefully merge with these families after you pick up your child. Now, the second and fourth car have preschool students, so they continue to St. Agnes to pick up their children. For PM pickup, we only are able to use the south side of St. Agnes. Mrs. Huffman's and Mrs. Miller's doors are blocked off for student traffic. You will proceed to Mrs. Anderson's door, where we will help you get your child in the vehicle. Remember, no buckling at this time. You will drive forward as shown there, buckle up, then merge with Walnut Street traffic exiting the parking lot. One last point. Car line is a no chat zone. While the line is moving, please stay off your phones. Also, if you need to talk with your teacher, we will make arrangements to talk after car line is over. As you can see, our 2 lanes have merged and they are exiting our parking lot safely. Thank you so much for viewing this whole video. We know it is a lot of information, but we want everyone who transports your child to have a full understanding of our procedures so we can make our car line as efficient as possible. Thank you so much, and see you in